Man of the year, man of the year, man of the year. Welcome to the number one friendship podcast in the country. I'm Matt Ritter.
I'm Aaron Cairo.
Guys, go to manoftheyearpodcast.com. Get some of our swag. Go to our YouTube page. Check out our pretty faces over there. Cairo, I read an article that got sent to me like by 10 different people right up my alley. It was about friends and money. It said, want to make a new friend? How much money have you got? It was a Wall Street Journal article. We both read it. And I thought it was really a fascinating article that kind of sums up a lot of things that we've been talking about. And actually wanted to start off by saying I think it somewhat vindicates fraternities and sororities.
Okay.
I'm going
Because
in
you
hot.
got it. Because you have to pay dues, and people with the knock on it is, oh, you're paying for friends.
Yeah. So I want to talk about that. I want to dive right into that because my whole life I heard, oh, you join a fraternity or sorority, you pay to make friends. And I never thought of it that way. Like I just never looked at it that way. I never looked at it as like, oh, I'm paying for friends. I looked at it as I'm joining this thing where I'm going to meet a lot of like-minded people and we're going to have fun. And that's just the cost of doing business, whatever. And I think that attitude is carried with me the rest of my life for things that I've, spent various amounts of money for, but I never looked at the friendship making as transactional. I think that was always the flaw in the critique because as you get older, you just realize that a lot of activities you do cost money and a lot of them are where you're going to socialize and make friends. So I just want to say, I think the fraternity and sorority people were right.
Well, let's just say that was not the only critique of fraternities and sororities. In fact, that was probably like the fourth critique.
Oh, there were others? Oh, well, forget about the others. Never mind the others.
But
that specific critique.
Yes, that specific critique. But I why? Because I didn't really take this article as validating that, or I thought it's the other way around, that it's the costs are rising basically.
No, but I think, well, let's get into the article in a second, but I think the article was acknowledging a truth, a universal truth about life, is that like it costs money to do anything, and making friends is part of your going about living. And if there's cost money to do those activities that lead to friendship, you shouldn't look at it as, I guess my point is that I'm critiquing the idea of looking at it through that prism.
Right. Sure.
So let's get into the article.
Yeah.
So the article was talking about how much it costs for these various activities, not just making friends, friendship maintenance. It started out with this woman who, since she moved to town, she has a husband, 2 kids, she pays $500 a month maintaining the 3 friendships. So that covers parties, book clubs, casual wine nights, averaging $170 a friend. She said, but it's great. They reciprocate. And, the article was basically saying it takes more money than it used to, rising prices of bars, restaurants, clubs, social clubs, etc. Fitness classes have gotten more expensive, and that was her third place. A lot of the third places that we're talking about have gotten a little more expensive, and they're lamenting that neighborhoods don't necessarily provide the social network they used to. Something I've been harping on tremendously. I want to, kind of tap myself on the shoulder saying it's an untapped resource. A lot of us are entering that new phase of our life where we're starting families and moving to neighborhoods and neglecting what is right in front of our faces, is that you can make friends with people right in your neighborhood. Somebody else was spending $500 a month on glass blowing class lessons, golf, tennis, YMCA, still hoping the friendship will click. Somebody else spending $200 a month on pickleball, crafting, cookie baking. And then there was a section about discount friends. There was a pair that was trying to, create affordable clubs. They did this $10 sort of friendship event. And then in the comments, I thought there were a lot of great ones, which were very inexpensive sort of third places, if you will. And I wanted to talk about some of those. The YMCA is one, really cheap. So a lot of people talk about fitness memberships, super expensive. The YMCA is like, I don't know, $10 a month or some crazy low amount.
What's interesting is that when I read this article, the subheading is the rising cost of making new friends. some of it, maybe this is just where my head was at. I was like, well, this is just living life.
That's what
You
I'm
know,
saying.
yes, yes. I'm sort of going to agree with you a little bit. Like, while we always talk on this pod about the gym was my best third place, but it's also a gym.
Right.
So I think I probably would be paying for it anyway if I wasn't trying to make friends. And if you're having wine parties with your friends, I mean, part of it was like this article is just about inflation and it has nothing to do with anything.
They were shoehorning in friendship because it's in the zeitgeist.
Right, exactly. Because we put it in the zeitgeist.
Yes, we did.
You know,
Yes, we did.
you could also say that the cost of like going bar hopping has gone up because everything's gone up.
You can trace the zeitgeist friendship to that first article that came out about us a week after we launched our pod. You can
Yes.
trace, I bet you if you did a Google search for how many times friendship shows up in articles, it's gone up by a factor of 1,000 since we launched.
Causation or correlation?
I mean, I want to say causation.
Causation. But I do sympathize, which is that because a lot of these things are things that we are encouraging our listeners and still do to do, which are like fun activities that they like. I mean, if you don't like this stuff, if you guys doing glass blowing because he thinks, I mean, listen, doing the glass blowing thing in LA where there was just tons of women, I would probably do it. But like, you know, if you're doing glass blowing classes just because you think that you're going to meet somebody, I wouldn't recommend it.
Do you think glass blowing is female dominated?
I'm just using it because it was in the article. I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, what is the gender? What do I even Google? What is the gender?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
blowing?
I like glass blowing. It's pretty cool.
Have you blown glass?
One time.
Whoa. Wow. Look at this. How is this even an answer? Glass, 33% of glass blowers are female, 67% are male.
That's what I'm saying. I don't even think of glass blowing as traditionally female. But that I think it's a fun activity. I want to say this about what you just said. I want to piggyback off of that. You're doing these things because you like doing these things. That's got to be the leading way in. And we say you're going to be more likely to make friends if you're doing something you like. But secondarily, I do think I want to push back a little on what you said, which is that it's both, because when you go to these places, the reason you're going to the gym versus working out at your house is the social component. The reason you're getting coffee outside of your house instead of making it at home is a little bit of the social component. I think human nature, we're human beings. We keep harping on this idea. You need to socialize. It's better for your social fitness. It's better for your overall health to get out and do these activities that are social, to go to your third paces. And I do think people have a longing. We have to acknowledge their longing for human connection and quality connection. And so I really appreciate that. And I want to sort of have people think of it not in terms of costs. You know, I think that's what you're saying. We don't want you to think of it in terms of, oh, it costs X to do X. It's like, no, you should be living your life in a way that is better for your mental, physical, and social health. That's the piece that we want to emphasize, that there are multiple components: physical, mental, social.
Yeah, and certainly, you know, if you are looking to make new friends, and I suppose if you looked around at the options and the ones that seem most desirable cost money, I mean, I can see that being a dilemma.
I agree. And by the way, that's why I wanted to propose a list of free or cheap activities. Do you like fitness? Go hiking. I'm sure there are free hikes where there are group hikes. Does a running club cost a lot of money, Carol?
It's free.
So the running club's free, right? So there's plenty of fitness classes that I think are super cheap. Like fitness is definitely hierarchical. Like there's like those bougie ones, but there's also like free fitness all over the place in any city. As I said, the YMCA is a cheap one. How about this? You know what costs no money? Volunteering. If you like volunteering, there's a lot of like-minded people. If you want to do some sort of civic duties, there's a lot of like-minded people. You can make friends there. Bridge club, chess club, a lot of these things cost less than $100, you know, for, I don't know, whatever the cost is. My point is, yes, they may cost money, but they're not the high end. This is not, oh, I have to join a country club, which is also, we have listeners on that end who are like, should I join a country club? A lot of my friends are joining country clubs. I feel left out, whatever, blah, 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 you know? which I want to get to because I have a listener question about that. But my point is I don't like to sort of view friendship making through the prism of how much does it cost to make a friend.
Well, I also think we should refer back to our process versus outcome episode, which in that
Yes.
a lot of the people in this article, the guy said, "Listen, I'm spending all this money on glass blowing and golf, and I haven't had a friendship click." The woman said, "I'm spending $200 on pickleball paddles and crafting materials, and I haven't had, and the French, I didn't make a friend there." Well, let's break it down into smaller James Clear-esque processes. Did you have a good conversation? Did you enjoy yourself? Did you have a good time? Did you say hello to a new person? If you do all that, the friends will eventually come.
And I want to yes and that. Even if you pay the money, that doesn't guarantee you're going to make the friends.
No, it definitely does not.
Right. I'm saying so a lot of people think that like, oh, by virtue of the money, I've now done the work. You haven't. You haven't done anything. You just put yourself in position, which you could do for free, or you could spend $5,000 a month. You're in the same boat of what Kara was talking about. Is like you got to follow the process of how are we living in a healthy way socially.
Let me ask you this, Matt. Okay, the people spending all this money, but the people that they're interacting with are also spending all this money. So it almost feels like it's not even the most organic thing. Like, are these even the best spots if they're so expensive?
Well, I'll push back and say if everybody has that same sort of mental agreement that that's what they're doing and they feel comfortable doing that, then yes, you're around like-minded people.
But I'm saying if you join, I mean, I guess if you join a $700 a month pickleball studio,
right?
I mean,
Those are people who do that, but I think that's also a function of like how much import they put in that activity or hobby. So I think you're likely to find if you are a fitness junkie and you spend a lot of money on that gym, you'll actually probably find more people that you might be inclined to become real friends with because you take that thing quite seriously. It's part of your identity. It's not just a hobby. I think you're less likely conversely, on the opposite end, I think you're less likely to make friends at one-off things. Like you take a pottery class, you take a glass blowing class. If that's just a one-off, like this was a fun thing I tried, the odds of you making a friend there are pretty low.
No. We got to embrace consistency. It's got to be weekly, daily.
Right. So, but I don't think it requires money because I think if a lot of people go to the YMCA every week and they're committed to their fitness, you could also make a lot of good friends there. So I don't think the money is the thing, but I think the money is an indicator of how seriously they potentially take that activity or hobby. So I do think on some level, if they're putting in the money, that is an investment on some level that says I am committed to this thing, for lack of a sort of better way to define money. It is a somewhat of a commitment to something.
Yeah. It's also just interesting the way the people in the article talk about their friends, and maybe just because the Wall Street Journal's interviewing them,
Yeah.
says she spends at least $500 a month maintaining the 3 close friendships she's made: parties, book clubs, casual wine nights. I don't know. Would I ever say, "Oh, it cost me $200 a month to hang out with Matt"?
No, unless somebody was calling you from the Wall Street Journal and needing to figure out on the money of it. I actually don't think people look at it that way. And I'm encouraging people not to look at it that way because I don't think it's healthy is what I'm saying. I'm kind of putting the smack down on the author for this framing of it. I don't like the framing.
But what if she happened to say to a couple of friends, "Hey, the husband got laid off. I'm in a crunch. I can't do the parties." Maybe do you think they would drift apart?
No,
Oh.
I think what you should do is if that happens, because that happens to all of us, I think you just communicate like, hey, can we do this? But can we do it in a more cost efficient way? Because I've got some things going on here at home. Let's not, buy expensive platters this week. I'll just cook it or I'll just make a tray. Like, you could, if it's $200 a month, like let's cut it down to 50. I think there's very easy ways to do that. I think we all do that, right? We all go, you know what? I've been spending a lot of money out on dinners. Actually, me and Jeremy and Haley and Jess agreed that the next time we go out as a couple, like we're not going to order a bottle of wine or it's not going to be a $300 dinner because we both have young kids and we're like, it's a lot. That's money that we need elsewhere to be spent. And we already are not like building our friendship, Like we're
Right.
we're locked in as close friends.
Maintaining it. I mean,
We're
he's.
maintaining it.
Are we giving Jeremy tenure?
Yeah, I mean, was he reached 5 years? What is it? 5 years? He's get a well,
I mean,
5 years. You get like a, I think 5 years you get soft tenure, which has to get renewed, or like a 10 year has to be.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've known him for 15 years. You usurped him along the way, but
Yeah, yeah. But to that point, the maintenance should be less of the low. You should be able to lower the cost if it's maintenance, right?
right. Cost of friendship should theoretically decrease as friendship.
Although then you want to take vacations with your friends, then it goes back up.
Yeah, it goes back up.
Yeah.
It kind of goes
should we take a
down
listen
and
to your question?
Yeah, let's do it. We'll be right back. All right, guys, this is Asking for a Friend. If you have a friendship question or ethical dilemma, send it to us on Instagram and we will answer on the show. It's at Man of the Year Podcast. Matt, take it away.
Hey, Matt and Caro. Love the podcast. Live in the suburbs. My wife and I just moved to a really nice area that's a bit of an upgrade for us. And most of the people in the neighborhood or our friends or we're friendly with join the local country club. We know we can't afford that, but there's a social membership. And we're feeling like if we don't do it, we already feel a little bit excluded. And we're going to feel like, why did we even move to this neighborhood? Should we spend the money on the social membership?
What's the social membership? Is that that's like a lower grade membership?
Yeah. So basically, as my understanding, because I'm not a member of a club, is that there's like 3 tiers. There's like the full membership, which can be like 6 figures. And then there's like junior memberships if you're under like 40 or 35, which is like 40 grand or something. And then there are these social memberships where you don't go to play golf or whatever the big thing is. You can just go to like the club and drink and eat dinner. You still have to pay, but you pay like 5 grand for the year.
Well, this is an interesting one.
I thought it fit in very well with the theme of money.
Yeah. I mean, these things are like built around golf and tennis, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to think, since I don't play golf or tennis.
Here's a good equivalent for you, I feel.
Yeah. Okay.
Didn't you go on a ski trip recently where you didn't ski?
Yes.
And you just kind of like hung out opera ski?
Yes.
So how did you feel?
Yes.
And was there anyone else doing that?
I basically had a social membership on the ski trip. Not really. Well, I mean, here's the thing. If they can't afford it, they can't afford it. So like, what are we doing here? They're mortgaging their house.
Right. But people do stretch. By the way, people do stretch themselves for all kinds of things that are social activities because they want to keep up with the Joneses or they want to be part of this thing. I mean, even like for me, even the temple membership is expensive,
Well, here's the thing. As we've said 1,000 times, relationships are the biggest indicator of health, happiness, and longevity. So if you are doing something to increase your relationships and friendships, that's good for your life.
Yeah.
Now, if you're then stressed financially, that could be an issue.
But let's be honest. I think a lot of people stress themselves financially for the sake of their relationships, their friendships.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically
for like dating relationships, but I think for friendships too.
Well, that's basically what this article is about.
Go on trips with their friends that they can't afford, and go to dinners they can't afford with their friends. So I think it's a major issue that there is no sort of guidance for that. I would love to be able to help people out with, and come up with some sort of. I don't know that we can come up with a framework right here, but I think this question is very relevant to a much bigger issue, which is that people put themselves in financial strain for their relationships.
But everybody in this town can't be a member of this club. So the first order of business is try to meet some people not at the club.
Okay, but if you already have friends that you like that are all part of the thing,
so their friends are members of the club.
Sounds like, I don't know if all of them, but it sounds like a lot of them are.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, a little bit of a poor planning. You knew this was going to happen before you moved to the town. So, I'm sure that's not very helpful to them, but you got to do the math. It sounds fun. I mean, I've never been part of a club nor had any desire, but it does sound fun in this group. So what can we cut at? What can we save them $5,000 a year
to
get them into this?
Right. Yeah, I do. I'm with you in the sense of like, I think they should maybe try it out. Like, the social membership exists for people who don't do the activity or whatever. Maybe this person does do golf but can't afford the 100 grand. But like, maybe you'll start getting invited to guest golf outings and
What do you
figure
do
out
at a
if this is,
you just eat lunch like Larry David and Curb Your Enthusiasm?
I think that's exactly right.
Right.
I think you sit around with people. I think people are very friendly at the social area of the clubs.
Is this for like you have to be retired? Like who has time to do is this for the weekends?
My neighbor's 40 and he's a social member at our club. Or not
Right.
our club. I'm not a club, but the one in the local one.
Does he go golfing? Does he golfer?
No,
Oh. Oh, so what does he do?
I think he just hangs out with friends and drinks. It's like a bar. It's like a very expensive bar member. It's almost like Soho House for golf guys.
Right. Okay. Now I'm sort of Soho House
But
for
it's also
golf.
a neighborhood thing. I think, I think people network. I think you get a lot of the benefits, like the networking, the business,
Right.
it's like the 19th whole business dealings. I think if you're somebody, there's some sort of business element to it. A lot of people do the social membership if they can't
Mhm.
afford the golf. Here's what I want to say too. There's a time and place for everything. If now is not the time, maybe 2 years from now is the time. Right? Like what you're talking about, like maybe not put yourself in financial ruin, start planning. If that's something that you're thinking, oh, it seems like it's really fun. All these people have invited us. They want us there. If a lot of people are saying they want you there, it's nice to like have that feeling of like, oh, people want to include us in this thing.
Do you think that any of these clubs offer scholarships,
Mm, I don't know. It's a good
discounts?
question. It's a good
You know,
question. I think that's what they do the junior membership for. I mean, I think
yeah,
that's what the social membership is. It's a way for people who can't afford the big golf outings that want to go there. I think it's a way to eventually get them to join the club, maybe.
right. Interesting. Doesn't really sound like my vibe, but if their friends are already there, that's a tough one.
Yeah, I'm inclined to think that you might want to just try it, but not now. It sounds like you're not in a financial place for it, but you might want to go, okay, in 2 years, like that, you should put it on your list of like in 2 years, I think that's on our agenda and figure
Oh,
out ways to get there.
I have a thought. Have they tried socializing with the friends outside of the club?
Right. Can you, but look, I agree, right? Have them all over for dinner, barbecues, whatever. I guess the question is, can that get you what you want? What do you want out of these friendships? Do you want to deepen these friendships or do you want to just meet more people? Or are you just feeling left out? Whatever. I mean, sometimes there's just like a psychology of feeling left out and you just have to deal with it. But maybe there is something to the idea of like, I want to level up with these friends. And I'm pretty sure that's the way to do it. That's their place. And if it could be a place for you, great. But if not, I like what you're saying. Are there other ways to level up your friendship with them or are they spending 24/7 at this club?
Right. Because I'm a guessing, and I just don't know club people. I'm guessing they want to hang out in the club all the time. Club people like hanging out in the
Me
club.
too, especially when you spend six figures. I think that's like your place.
Yeah, Jesus, six figures. Oh God, do I want to
Yeah,
hang out in a place where everybody's playing? That's like fraternity times on
right.
steroids, basically.
I know. I'm not a club guy. I've actually went to the one over here and Jesse and I went and like there were all these older guys cracking inappropriate jokes and she was just like, we're leaving.
No.
Yeah.
At least in fraternity, they haze you, so you beat
Yeah.
you down a little
I
bit.
think they beat you a little bit in these golf ones too. Because
Yeah.
one of the guys who joined the club here, they made him work. There was like a LPGA thing and they made him work all 18 holes in the burning hot sun. And this kid is so pale.
Wait, he. Wait, they hazed. They really made him work
Yeah.
as like an induction.
Yeah. He and his wife both had to work and they're both very fair skinned. And they came back just completely lobster
So
baked.
everyone
Like
has to work their first week or whatever.
melanoma is required of you.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So I think there is a little hazing. Look,
Uh,
that's not my scene.
Yeah.
But whatever is your scene, if you feel you're this is the person that you are and these are the people you want to interact with. And like I said, it's the cost of doing business. Don't look at it as the money. Like, is this fostering the life you want? Is this fostering? I'm not here to judge people who spend $0 or $100,000. We're here to tell you, hey, how do we get to a holistic view of your social circle that you feel good about?
Yeah. I mean, we also like I bet you there's other places in this town to socialize. You know, the country club can't be the only option.
Right.
You know?
Right. But if those are all the friends you've already made and you're like
Right.
enjoying that, it's hard, right? If all your friends were like, hey, we're getting a house in, Cabo every year, and this is all your crew, and they all
Yeah.
go every year, and they're like, hey, we want you to come. Of course you want to come.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
not gonna be like, oh, I don't want to go. So I think I would say, obviously you have to have your finances right. Don't strain yourself to do this, but maybe to make it a goal, or have them have you have it there as a guest a few times. Try and meet some other, test out the vibe, see if you actually feel like you need that for this friendship or for your own social health.
Yeah. Maybe you could start recruiting people out of there, kind of go in there as a guest / mole, get those people out.
Yeah, get them in your kickball league for free.
your free kickball league.
Your free
Did
kickball league.
we answer the question?
I think so.
I think we did. All right. That was asking for a friend. Let us know how it goes, by the way. If you have a friendship question, send it to us on Instagram. We will answer it on the show. All right, Matt, let's get back to how much does it cost to make a friend?
So, by the way, the comments were hilarious. One guy wrote, I have a dog. He's my best friend. Cost me $100 a year. Best investment I ever made.
By the way, that's cheap, right?
Yeah. Real cheap dog. Somebody else said religious organizations. There were a lot of stuff we've gone over. There was a few other ones. Bridge tournament, $10. Somebody didn't like the gym. It was they don't want to talk about gym stuff. There was another one. Making friends has never been a free activity.
I
think
that's
that's
not
a fact.
Yeah.
I think that's a fact. Making friends has never been a free activity.
I mean, another way to say this is dating has gotten more expensive.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
sure, you can do free dates or whatever, but it's always going to cost a little bit of money.
Yeah. $8 for the public skating rink. I mean, are you making friends roller skating? That was a funny one for me.
Do you know that there's Matt, the bar EPLP, the rooftop bar?
Yeah.
It's a roller rink now on the roof.
Ooh, should we go and try to make friends?
Maybe. Are you?
By the way, this was my favorite. This was my favorite moneyed comment. The money is the price of avoiding riffraff.
Yes, that is very.
Oh, yes, it is. The money is the price of avoiding riffraff.
Yeah.
And then somebody else wrote, "You've got money? I'll be your friend." That reminded me of that line in Coming to America. Remember where she gives him the earrings back on the subway, and this older woman goes, "If you're really a prince, I'll marry you." And then he just hands her these $1 million diamond earrings.
I thought you were going to say it from Mad Men when he goes, "That's what the money's for."
Yeah, that's true too. Peggy. Religious organizations are not free. That was another comment. So I think the takeaway is like, hey, these things have never been free, but it's not really, you're not doing it to meet friends.
Well, we actually left out one part. We gave the author a hard time. We left out one part because we're so isolated now. The organic things that you always talk about have dissipated. So meeting people naturally in the town square or even at work has dropped like 50%. So I think that's the impetus.
I'm all about acknowledging realities. The reality is you spend money to do activities, and the activities are the ones that you're going to potentially just to do both because you like it and to make friends. You're going to the gym because you like the gym, but you're also doing it because you could just work out in your house, but you're doing it because you want to socialize.
Yeah. But if 50% of people used to make their friends at work and now we go to work, I mean, I feel for them.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, we're trying to combat this epidemic of loneliness. So I think you've got people who have to figure out ways to do it more cheaply, right? And that's fine, but they still have to do it. Like if we want to try and find low cost ways, fine. But if you're spending the money, I think we have to say to you, make sure you're spending it in a way that actually fosters more social connection, that allows you to build these higher quality connections. So if you're just paying a lot of money to go to a high-end gym and you're not talking to anybody, like Cairo said, what are you doing?
You know what you got to do? You got to get more hang for your buck.
I love it. You're so good.
Did Should we just end the podcast right now? I mean, I think
You're
we
so
did
good.
it.
I mean, that was it. Yeah, you got to get more hang for your buck. That's so good. By the way, Wall Street Journal. This is why you call us.
Yes.
You want a quote? You want a soundbite? We're soundbite machines over here.
Oh man, that would have been the pull quote. Did we anything else? What did we learn today? I think, did we cover it? Do you want to any final thoughts?
Listen, my final thought is fraternities and sororities, baby.
Fraternity.
You're
Hey,
right.
shout out to Zeta Beta Tau Theta chapter, University of Pennsylvania. Love you
What was
guys.
I, an SAE?
Same assholes everywhere.
Mhm.
Guys, thank you so much for listening. Also, let us know about your spending. How much is it costing you to make a friend? Always remember, be good to yourself, be good to your friends. Love you, buddy.
Love you, buddy. Tight. Oops. And record didn't end. Okay, I'll just have to click.